Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Breedlove. I'm a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorder, and I'm with the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse. And it's our great privilege to be here today with a great number of our members of the State Senate and the Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission as they talk to the people of Georgia about House Bill 1013, the Mental Health Parity Act. They're joined on the steps from citizens around Georgia. I mean, from North Georgia, Central, South Georgia, and all over Metro Atlanta. And they're joined today because the people of Georgia support this bill. This bill comes from 2 years of doing it the way it should be done, doing it the Georgia way. Governor Kemp and the General Assembly established the Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission. They had a series of meetings, and what I'm particularly proud of as a peer is they didn't let COVID slow them down. They kept working through COVID, using technology to keep the policy moving forward. And as a result of keeping the policy moving forward, we had the historic vote in the House just recently, overwhelming bipartisan support for reform of mental health and substance use disorder. And now I just want to say, before I turn the microphone over, that the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse stands with the members of the Senate as they perfect this bill. We ask them to keep the spirit and language intact because at the end of the day, it's a time of choosing. It's a time of choosing for Georgia families and peers that we get the services that we need and the services we deserve, or it's a time to say, you know, parity hasn't been enforced for 14 years and we'll wait till next year. We cannot wait anymore. We need parity fully enforced now. And I will introduce them as they come up, but I'd like now to introduce Senator Brian Strickland, who will carry House Bill 1013 in the State Senate. And Senator, on behalf of every peer up here, we thank you for carrying this bill on our behalf. It means the world to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning. Well, I don't know, at least in my time at the Capitol, the last time we saw us all come together as a House and Senate on one issue like this much. And it's all about mental health reform. You know, this centers around a House bill that we're all very excited about that's now in committee that we're working on that was mentioned. But it's much bigger than just one bill number. I don't remember a time in the past where you saw senators gathering for hearings weeks before crossover day talking about a House bill already. This is something we all came together on. We've also seen some of our colleagues in Senate already carry different parts of House Bill 1013 and Senate bills as well. Something we all care about a lot. There's a lot of credit to go around this building, all the folks that work on this issue. But I want to take a second to recognize the real heroes behind this effort. Of course, you have members of the Behavioral Health Innovation Reform Commission that are working on this, but in particular, I want to highlight the advocates, many of which are standing with us today. These are folks that set aside their own agendas, set aside their own organization, their own pride of authorship, and many of them also have been willing to be brave enough to share their own stories of what they've gone through. Something that's not very easy to do, come up here and tell their stories about a broken system that they experienced personally, all in an effort to make sure that future Georgians don't go through that same broken system. And so we commend you and we thank you as members of the House and Senate for your leadership and help us bring this issue here today. And I also, of course, want to recognize the Speaker of the House, Representative Jones, Representative Mary Margaret Oliver. They worked so much on House Bill 1013. And I want to thank my colleagues in the Senate that have been leading on this issue as well as we now look at taking this bill into committee. And we talk all the time about being the #1 state in the country in which to do business. My hope is that after 2022, we're going to start becoming the #1 state in the country for mental health services as well. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over, if you'd like, Jeff, to the chairman of the Health and Human Services Committee in the Senate, who's working hard on these issues, mental health reform in our state, Senator Ben Watson.
Thank you so much, Brian. I must say this is a humbling experience because it is a team effort, starting with the governor and the commission and the House and the Senate. I have to commend everyone involved, certainly the advocates, the experts, the Lieutenant Governor and Regina Quick and the Lieutenant Governor's office have been instrumental. We're going to work with the House and we're going to work with them together, the advocates and everyone involved, and we're going to get a good bill, if not a great bill, and we'll continue to work with everyone. Let me just say that mental health touches everyone here today at the Capitol, touches every family, and is ever so important that we address this important issue. We will continue to address this issue today. We've addressed it in the past, and we'll continue to address it in the future. Without further ado, I just want to thank everyone involved, and and pledge to you that we're going to work and get a good bill, a great bill for the future of the state of Georgia and our citizens. Thank you.
And just very quickly, when they talk about the advocates, this is a historic coalition of groups supporting this bill. It's over 30 organizations strong, and the diversity is powerful, and we are very proud of that coalition. We now want to ask Senator Kay Kirkpatrick to come up and say a word.
Thank you, and thanks to all of you for being here. I just want to make a couple of comments. I've been working on mental health and substance use issues since I got down here a few years ago, and we're making progress. But this bill that's come over from the House, I know you all know how our process works. We usually end up, we're the deliberative body in the Senate, and we work on language. We do care what the words say, and there will be changes to the bill, at which point the bill will go back over to the House. So stay tuned. This process is a long way from over. Many of you know that I had a bill on mental health parity on the Senate side, Senate Bill 342, and I'm hoping that we can get to some common ground in terms of what's the best approach to solving this huge problem for the state of Georgia. And I'm looking forward to a good product when we finish working on the bill. Thank you.
And now I want to ask one of the co-chairs of the General Assembly Working Group on Addiction and Recovery, Senator Randy Robertson, to make some remarks.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all the advocates who showed up today to stand up for those who suffer mental health issues around the state of Georgia, for being willing to sacrifice their time and effort to come here to speak for those who do not have a voice in our state and for many years have not. Since the late 60s, the responsibility of dealing with the mental health community was shifted over onto the shoulders of law enforcement. That is not where it should have been. The men and women of law enforcement were asked to do jobs that they were not trained for. As a law enforcement officer, I never saw quite the reason when I was in college why I had to have a copy of the DSM-5 on my desk as I went out to do my job. And I think under the leadership of Senator Brian Strickland and Chairman Ben Watson, we're going to have an opportunity with House Bill 1013 to fix some of those issues and to put hope back into the families of Georgia who each and every day have to suffer through the disease of mental health within their families. I want to thank Jeff for all of the hard work he does. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, Jeff is on us to make sure we are doing what we are supposed to do and what we have promised to do. So I do see a ray of hope in Georgia when it comes to mental health, and I look forward to being a part of it. God bless you and thank you.
And now we want to ask the other, we have another great group. It's the Mental Health Caucus. And I want to ask one of the co-chairs of the Mental Health Caucus, Senator Kim Jackson, to make remarks.
Thank you. This afternoon, I echo all of the words of gratitude to the advocates who have been doing this work for so many years. I especially want to lift up the family members, the parents, and the caretakers who've been calling down to our offices and asking for help. They've been begging that we might do something about this system. And so I am so grateful that HB 1013 gives us a pathway to do this. I'm so grateful for my colleagues who have seen it fit to make sure that we take care of those who are suffering most. As many of you know, we walk outside every day by the Capitol by people who sleep outside, many of whom who are wrestling with mental illnesses that have gone untreated. This bill helps move us forward towards getting those folks help as well. And so I'm extraordinarily grateful for the ways that this bill will impact families, people who are sleeping outside, and all Georgians as we help to increase access. So thank you all so much. We will perfect this bill, and then we will move forward to continue to make Georgia a better place.
And now the other co-chair of the General Assembly Working Group on Addiction and Recovery, Dr. Senator Michelle Au.
Thank you, everyone, and I want to echo my thanks to everyone for working so hard on this bill. It's really a proud moment to be able to work on such a great bipartisan and bicameral effort. So as a physician, I'm obviously so proud to support this piece of legislation that addresses a long-standing problem that is way overdue. This bill is quite long, so walking through it, it's quite easy to get stuck in the weeds or perseverate on some of the smaller details, but the one primary issue the bill addresses as a whole is quite simple, but no less profound to say out loud. First, the bill acknowledges that mental health, its consideration, its diagnosis, its treatment, is just as important as physical health. The second thing is that it very clearly notes that substance use disorder is a mental health condition and therefore a medical condition just like so many others. Just like other medical problems, it's preventable. Like other medical problems, it is treatable. And like other medical problems, it has to be handled with the same support, scientific evidence, and respect that we treat other epidemics. So I really look forward to helping this bill get shepherded through the Senate and to help Georgians who need our help right now. Thank you so much.
And now I would like to ask Senator Bruce Thompson to make some remarks.
Thank you, Jeff. We take up many pieces of legislation down here, but this is one of those items, one of those issues that touches everyone in our community. Not just Democrats, not just Republicans. It crosses all boundaries. I too lost a brother that made some decisions that was addicted and had behavioral health and mental challenges. I applaud Jeff, my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and everyone behind us for taking on an issue and understanding it's our job to look out for everyone in our community. We also look at We also talk about economic development. It's already been mentioned that we're the #1 place in the country to do business. But we won't remain #1 in the country to do business unless we provide the opportunity for everyone that wants to work to be able to come to work. And I believe that when we're finished, both of the chairmen are working on this. This will be a great bill, and the Senate will be able to pass a bill that everyone's going to be able to say both sides of the aisle are addressing the needs of the citizens of Georgia. Thank you.
I think we have a couple more members of the Senate. I want to ask Senator Dean Burke to come up next, please.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. I look at this issue from my perspective as a obstetrician gynecologist in a very small town. I think the numbers of people who are affected with mental illness that we're seeing in our primary care practices is as high as most of these advocates will tell you. It's a significant percentage of our patients have what we call comorbidities. They have a physical condition and a mental illness. And if we don't address those two together, neither one of them will be improved, and we'll have the challenges that these problems bring to these patients in my world and their families. The other thing I want to throw out there is a cautionary note. This is just the start. This process is going to have this kind of momentum for several years because of the workforce challenges, the access issues that are not going to be solved by this single piece of legislation, no matter how broad and how well we draw it up. And so I want to make sure that the advocates behind me understand that this is a marathon, this is not a sprint, and we've got to stay focused, but remember that the enemy of good sometimes is perfection, and we need to make sure that we get to a place that we can move the ball this year, but know that there's a lot of work to be done, and I look forward to sharing that with these great folks behind me who are dedicated to make this problem better for the state of Georgia. Thank you.
I want to say to that, Senator, I can speak for the 30 group coalition. We say thank you to that. We trust the process. We believe in the Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission. We thank them for their work. We believe this is the first bill in a series of bills that will transform our lives. So we know it's a marathon, and we are thankful for that marathon. And I'd like to ask now Senator Matt Brass to come up.
Thank you, Jeff. And, I think in this world that we've lived in over the last couple of years, we've really seen mental health really be exacerbated. It's been put under a microscope, and it's just another issue that was here before the pandemic hit, but it's only getting worse. And it's getting worse through isolation, and isolation can lead folks down a dark path. And so, Winston Churchill said something along the lines of the only thing worse than going into battle with an ally is going into battle without one. And so when we go into this battle, we've got to do it together. We're going to do it with these 30 plus members of this coalition. We're doing it with the governor. We're doing it with the speaker in the House, and we're going to win this war. Thank you.
And you may see some of these senators depart because they have committees to go to, but before any of them do, before we go into others speaking, again, I know I speak for the whole House and the coalition and those there here today. We thank each member of the Senate who took time out of their schedule today, and we thank our members of the House of Representatives for the work they did to, again, produce a overwhelming, look, it's a landslide vote that happened. It shows that bipartisanship is alive and well in this building, and it shows that this issue is a bipartisan issue. So should any members have to leave, we thank you all for coming. Now I'd like to introduce two members of the Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission. First, I would like to ask Judge Sarah Harris to come up and bring remarks.
Thank you. I am thrilled to be here today, and you might wonder, who is this person and why are the courts here? Well, I'm the probate judge of the Bibb County Probate Court. I've served in the mental health arena as an attorney for over 25 years and 10 years on the bench. What does the probate court have to do with mental health? Well, we're the first line. We are just like the crisis workers. We're the ones who see the families who come in begging for help. We see the cycle. We see the revolving door of people with serious and persistent mental illness. We see the same people over and over again. So what does this legislation do that helps that? In the part of the bill that I worked on from the commission with a group of wonderful experts that included DBHDD Forensics Director Dr. Karen Bailey, Dr. Jawan White from Grady Hospital, we worked on a program and a structure for a program that will help lift these people and help these people with serious and persistent mental illness. Why does it have to be involuntary? Because at the outset, they don't recognize sometimes that they need help. They get stabilized they get put on the street again, and they either end up in our criminal justice system or they end up back at a crisis unit over and over again. On Monday of this week, I had 6 families. That's really unusual. I usually have maybe 6 families in a week. Monday, I had 6 families. 3 of them were referred to me from Mobile Crisis, who came out and said the person was too violent for them to deal with. This was on a Saturday, so they had to go from Saturday to Monday before they got to the probate court. And they were referred from law enforcement because law enforcement couldn't do anything because they weren't really committing a penal offense. All of these families had crisis over the weekend, and they had to wait until Monday morning with the court opened to come in and see us. All of those people had been before me before. They had all been in crisis, one of them on 6 occasions in the last 2 years. We've created a program called Assisted Outpatient Treatment. Let me rephrase that. We did not create this program. We went to experts. We went to experts in this field nationwide, and AOT, Assisted Outpatient Treatment, is used across the country in different states to great success. It is tried and true. It is based on evidence-based practices, and that's what we're asking for Georgia. We need to do something to shake things up because our outpatient process is not working. And if you want proof of that, I'll be happy to provide it. We need to keep these people out of our criminal justice system. They are not criminals. They have an illness. They have an illness that needs treatment, and it may need more than stabilization. They need community support. AOT creates a program of community support. We also recognize we have a process in place in Georgia. You will be appointed an attorney if you need this program. You will have a full and fair hearing. Your due process rights will be protected. We already have that in our code. We just need a structure and a program to help people, and one where we have full engagement from all the stakeholders. We've included everyone we can think of in this bill. We have sought out advice, consulted with DBHCD, community service boards, crisis centers. We have reached out to everyone we knew. My children will tell you I burned the macaroni and cheese on Thanksgiving Day because Mom was on a conference call on this bill. We've worked hard, and I am proud of what we've presented, and I look forward to the Senate making its tweaks and making it even better for Georgians.
Thank you, Judge. And I'm just going to take a moment of personal privilege, and I hope she hears me, because we have a recovery champion who's back there, Representative Katie Dempsey. Thank you for all you mean to mental health and recovery in Georgia. If representatives had fan clubs, I'd run to be president of hers. I might lose, but I'd run. I also want to introduce a dear friend of mine, someone I've known for a long time, and her work has gone way above and beyond just serving on a commission. I mean, she has been in this Capitol advocating for us on her own personal time, and it's meant the world to us. And Dr. Brenda Fitzgerald, thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much. My commission, we just heard about the legal approach. The people of my part were mostly doctors. I'm a doctor. I'm an OBGYN. I was also the Commissioner of Public Health here in Georgia. And on my committee was the head of Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, the head of pediatrics at Emory, the head of the CSB in Savannah, the head of a leader of organizations for advocates, and the head of someone who is in brain trauma from Shepherd Center. we want to thank everybody who talked to us. We started, our first meeting was in December of 2019, and we have met every single Thursday, except for when it fell on Thanksgiving, of every single month since that time. And we are thankful to the people who came and told their stories. We are thankful to the national experts who are willing to come and talk to us about parity, because we realized that parity and making sure that the money was available for people to be treated with mental illness just like they're treated with physical illness at the very same levels, not to be rushed out of the hospital, not to be released, not to get in a revolving door of going in and out and in and out and never being treated. And we are so thankful that we have presented our information to the House and to the Senate and the positive response that we have gotten. And I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for appointing me, because he's the one that asked me to be on this. From all members of the commission, thank you very much to all of you.
And we're going to close out with three voices from Georgia. These are not elected officials. They're the ones that hire the elected officials. These are three citizen advocates. And I want to ask Robin Elliott with Georgia Overdose Prevention to come forth, because her story, it's a powerful story.
Hi, everyone. My name is Robin Elliott. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what that means to me is that as of today, I have 31 years in recovery. As Jeff said, I'm not a senator, I'm not a commissioner, I'm a mom. I'm Zach's mom. My son Zach died on May 1st, 2011 of a heroin overdose. When Zach was 17 and he first started spiraling downhill, I called my insurance company to try to get Zach into treatment. I'm self-employed. When I talked to the insurance company, they asked me what Zach was using, and I told them. And the next sentence out of their mouth was, "We're sorry, but we're going to drop him from your policy." So they immediately took him off my policy for everything. I sent him to treatment. Every penny was out of pocket. He went multiple times. I can't even tell you how much money. I'm one of the fortunate ones because I had some money, so I was able to do that. There are lots of people that are not in that position. Zach passed away on May 1st, 2011. And since then, I've been working really hard to try to make sure that people understand about mental health and substance abuse and how those need to be treated equally to other disorders. I guess in closing, I'll just say that mental health is health. We need parity. Thank you.
31 years. What a blessing that you're celebrating with us today. And now I want to ask, listen, this next two people, they're like heroes of mine. What they're doing is transforming lives in Georgia. I want to ask Kim Jones with NAMI to come make some remarks.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and thank you to the senators who are here today. Hello, I'm Kim Jones, Executive Director of NAMI Georgia, also a member of the Governor's Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission, and most importantly, a proud mother of a child with a mental health condition and several chronic physical conditions. I've seen firsthand the disparity and discrimination in treating mental health versus physical health here in Georgia. As the executive director of NAMI, I receive calls nearly every day from people impacted by mental health crisis, desperate for resources and help. The Georgia Parity Act was crafted by the Governor Kemp's Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission, with members appointed by the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker, and the chief justice, all appointing experts in the mental health field from across the state in both rural and suburban areas, and also from the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. The appointees were both bipartisan and bicameral in representation. I want to leave time for my other colleague to speak, But as we see the rise in mental health crisis daily, the research has shown us that mental health is an epidemic after the COVID pandemic. And just like COVID, we need to plan now to take action. We are excited for the bill to be reviewed by the Senate and for these distinguished legislators to continue to perfect and enhance the bill and further help Georgians' people. I want to thank Senators for their careful and thoughtful review of the bill, especially Chairman Ben Watson and Senator Brian Strickland for their professionalism and commitment to this bill and their commitment to help millions of Georgians impacted by mental health. Please continue to perfect and preserve the Georgia Parity Act so Georgians' families can get the help they so desperately need.
And now I want to ask Abdul Henderson with Mental Health America of Georgia.
Thank you, Jeff, for orchestrating us today. I'm Abdul Henderson, the Executive Director of Mental Health America of Georgia. Someone earlier said that this bill is great. It's actually historic. It's historic in nature, one, because of its bipartisan support. It's historic in nature because the Speaker led this effort in the House. And it's historic because our coalition of mental health advocates, for the first time in history, have almost completely organized behind this effort. And the reason why this is historic is because suicide and mental health disorder and substance abuse disorder is at an all-time high. This year, over 1,400 people in Georgia will die by suicide. Many of them will have had insurance. And the fact that they chose to opt out of life and having had insurance tells us that insurance companies are treating mental health and physical health differently. And actually, that is against the law because of the federal parity statute. So the Mental Health Parity Act is here to address that, in addition to several other issues like a depleted workforce, because we don't have enough mental health professionals in the state. But what it seeks to do is improve the lives of families. And we're all Georgians here. Whether we like it or not, we're all family. And in a historic way, families are crying out to all of us, to advocates, to members of the General Assembly, and some have answered the call. The Speaker has answered the call, the Insurance Commissioner has answered the call, the Governor has answered that call. Now we just need our partners in the Senate to work with us in ensuring that we preserve the spirit of this bill, because it is historic in nature. And if we're able to get this signed into law this year, I can almost guarantee you we will save lives by next year. So I thank all of our advocates for coming out today to show support. I thank the senators who are going to painstakingly work through this process with us, because we're on the verge of something historic, but it is needed. It is needed right now, today. By the end of the session in 2.5 weeks, if we can't come together in a bipartisan fashion that fixes one of the most emergency crises since COVID-19, then history will look down upon us and say, what happened? We will be judged about why we could not accomplish this if we fail. I don't think we will. I think we're on the verge of doing something that we can all be proud of, and something that many families across this state will see relief in the near term. So thank you.
NAMI, Mental Health America, the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse, we're but 3 of 30. You're looking at diversity, you're looking at bipartisanship, you're looking at a statewide network, a historically large statewide network representing tens of thousands of Georgians and their families. I might say hundreds of thousands. I will take that bet. We are going to save lives with this legislation. This legislation will save lives. This is a time for choosing in Georgia. We will choose to work together for Georgia families, or we will let the special interest once again deny that the federal parity law is enforced in Georgia. I am encouraged by the vote in the House. That was a powerful message. I'm encouraged that we had a bipartisan group of senators here today, that we've had 2 days of hearings so far. We have another day scheduled tomorrow. I believe senators are working to get to yes and put the families of Georgia first. So I'll conclude with this. Our message to the Senate is this: perfect, but preserve. Strong language for Georgia families. And I'll leave you with this: mental health, substance use disorder, recovery is real. Thank you all for coming.